Hello, everyone.
Friends, very good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining this wonderful series of Enlightenment on No Death. Yesterday we had wonderful session from Sharuji, and today we have one more special guest, an amazing person, so down to earth, and whatever the the website you are seeing now and the Facebook page for PSSM UK. Everything, whatever you're seeing is all, it is all the creation of Sai Krupa Sagar, and amazing person. He has done a lot of, initiations in PSSM UK in the year 2017 when they were here with the family, whole family. They were here in 2017 and 18 for about 2 years. And even when Patriji came to UK in the year 2017, and 2018, Patriji was mentioning about Sai Krupa Sagar that, he said that I came to UK in the year 2008, and then I've been thinking about coming to UK. Once Sagar is here in the UK, then I said, okay, let's go to UK. So that kind of, confidence that Patriji had in Sagar sir. Thank you for all the work you have done for PSSM UK. Lot of initiative, so much of infra that is required for PSSM UK to start. You have created in 2017. And when Patriji came, designed all the programs in such a way that, done a lot of what you call digital marketing so that Patriji's wisdom can go to a lot of British people here. And when Patriji came in 2017, so many British people have attended, and they learned a lot, and they really liked all the sessions, and we arranged in different places. So major credit goes to Sagar, Sai Krupa Sagar. So he's a CEO of, founder and CEO of Quantum Coherence Technology, trustee for the Pyramid Valley at the moment, ex-VP for Cognizant. He worked as VP, Vice President in this multinational company, Cognizant. He's been meditating for about 20 years now, and also he's been teaching and spreading, talking about meditation, doing a lot of retreats, and he has taken so many sessions, so many workshops in London when he was here, designed a special workshops. And at the moment in Pyramid Valley, if you have seen on PMC Valley channel, that stillness retreat, breath by breath, mind to matter, unique retreats he has designed, and so many participants have benefited with those workshops. A lot of programs, and inspiring so many across the globe. Thank you for coming to this platform. This, even though it is 1:30 a.m. and you have so many plans from day after tomorrow, I think you need to go travel somewhere, but still you immediately accepted, and thank you, Sagar Garu, and platform is yours now. And today I think the topic is enlightenment equal to death of ego plus immortality of the soul. So this is the topic Sagar going to speak. Thank you, Sagar Garu. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Kiran Garu, and namaste. Good evening to all dear friends, dear masters. Yeah, like as Vikiran sir was talking about what we've been doing at London, I know now probably has scaled up a lot. A lot of activities are being done in London and all of UK and even a lot of Europe. So it's been amazing to see the work that Patri sir initiated when we were all there in 2017, and everything going on very smooth. And overall, the movement has spread a lot as well. So thanks to all the masters, thanks to all the folks. I see a lot of familiar names, nice to connect to each one of you after a long time. So let's dive into like a 10 minutes of meditation. I guess that is the format. So 10 minutes of meditation, and then we will do a bit of a talk followed by Q&A. That's okay. So, all right, so I'll play some light music. I hope I can share and make my co-host.
You can share, Sagarji. Yeah.
Okay, so let's dive into 10 minutes of meditation. All of us know the procedure. Clasp your hands, cross your feet, remove your spectacles, close your eyes, and slowly bring your attention to your natural, normal breath. And observe, just observe, be a passive observer of the breath without engaging in thoughts. Just continue to be with your normal, natural breath. thoughts, other distractions interrupt your observation of your breath, recognize that and move your attention gently back to your observation of the normal, natural breath. Gautam Buddha and then Brahmarshi Patriji taught us how to use our own breath to master our mind. Just by being with our breath, we get to calm our mind, purify our mind, and connect with our deeper intelligence. Just 2 more minutes of just being with our breath. Last 1 minute. Wonderful, dear masters. Let's emerge from our short and sweet meditation for today. Bring your awareness to your body. Bring your awareness to the room you are in. Relax your shoulders, relax your arms, unclasp your fingers and place your palms on your eyes for a few seconds and open your eyes.
Thank you, Sagar. Yes, please go on. Amazing meditation.
Thank you. Yeah, I know it was a very short meditation session. I hope it was relaxing for all of you after a day of work and hectic mind activity. So I think whoever created this platform on no death, congratulations and a great job. I know it's been 21 days, so a lot of topics would have been covered. I saw a few topics that Ravikran Garu sent me, and I know different theories, different concepts would have been covered. One of the profound learnings that I had from Brahmarshi Patriji was during the COVID time when we were all there. I will talk about it. But before that, one of the things I think you would have learned about the concept of Buddhist concept of non-self, which is anatta, right? Where they don't talk about the concept of a soul, the permanent self. And some of you might have heard, and all of you might have heard about the yogic concept of Atma, Jivatma, and Paramatma. So they're all very standard frameworks. Namaste, Dr. G.K. sir. Nice to see you here. And so today I would want to present a framework on a different framework, more on it's called the new psychology, a new framework for well-being of new cycle, from a concept of new psychology. We'll talk about that. But before that, I want to talk about my own experience with uh, death, or how we learn from death. What has death taught us, and why Patriji has been very strong advocate of no death. There have been, I'll talk about four different points in time from my own personal experience. So first, 22 years ago, around 1999, if I get the math, 25 years ago, while we were in the US, we had our first learning from this whole concept of mortality. We were in the US. I was with me and my wife Bindu. We were in the US working for 5 years from 98 to 2003. Yes. So that is when we had one of our common friends. We had a friend and a colleague at the company that I worked at. We used to work at Microsoft, and his wife was diagnosed with cancer when she was carrying her first child. And they were pretty much our own age. I think we're all in 30s. So the moment she was diagnosed with cancer, that time we were all not regular meditators, no exposure to PSSM, no exposure to all the spiritual science and knowledge at that time. So when she was diagnosed with cancer, and the doctors in the US said there are only a few more months or a few more years for our friend to live, it was a big shocker for us. And that kickstarted the whole momentum into thinking about why death, why should death happen? And all of us have gone through this during the pandemic, right? So why death? Why should death approach certain people, and especially our friend, right? I mean, the usual thoughts about, oh, there are so many people doing so many, what to say, incorrect things. So in our own view, and they're all living a long life, whereas this person that doesn't have any bad habits, doesn't have any bad thoughts. Why should death approach certain people, especially? And my wife was very vocal. and she used to kind of scold God at that time, right? And then they were trying for kids for a long time. And if death was written in her destiny, why should this cancer and all this be diagnosed, especially when she was carrying a baby? What will happen to the baby after the mom passes away? So all these questions. So then, thankfully, the mom stayed for a year or so. So happened to celebrate the first birthday of her daughter. The daughter now, she's I think close to 24 years. We happened to see her a few months ago. Absolutely wonderful, intelligent child. So the mom passed away after a year or so of the birth of the child, and then life carried on. To us, that was a moment of introspection. That is where a spiritual journey started. And later, as we learned, and I'm sure some of you might have heard about the soul's journey, the different types of souls, what soul does, right? And then we come to know, as Patriji taught us a lot of those teachings, then we come to know there are souls in this world who come and go purely as an awakening or as a teacher, right, to people around them. So to us, this person, Shanti, her soul probably had the same exact reason, right? She awakened all of us around her. I mean, her husband and me and Bindu and our family. A lot of us people thought about why and what. And that is when I started reading a lot of this new age spiritual science books. And then around the same times when we got introduced to this wonderful friend of ours, Chandrasekhar, through whom, and I think who was kind of being taught or briefed on meditation by Dr. GK. So Chandrasekhar, Dr. GK's brother, and through him we all got into meditation, and then life has been. So that is one milestone I want to talk about, where death taught us, right? Some taught us, or the soul came in the form of a friend, and then taught people around them about how to start introspecting, start looking at life from inside out rather from outside. And then fast forward a few years, thanks to Brahmarshi Patriji's teachings. And then we've all been doing meditation, a lot of wisdom. And then, as Ravi Kiran Garu said, we spent a couple of years in UK, in London. And then on our return from London, we had to come back in 2 years because we had to, our thing was we wanted to take care of my parents, back in India. So we returned at the right time. And around 2019, so we returned in 2018, and somewhere in 2019, my mom passed away. So she was, it was not, it was before COVID, pre-COVID, a year before COVID, nothing to do with COVID. So she had a very peaceful Passover. And I, being the youngest son, had to do the rites for my mom. So it was so bizarre. A lot of especially my siblings, my brother and my sister and everyone thought, because I was kind of closer to my mom. And they thought I would be the most impacted, right? Most grieving, most crying. And then they didn't see me grieve or even talk anything good or bad about that whole incident. Right? I was just calm, thanks to all the teachings, and it was not like I didn't have any emotions. It was just absolute calm, and then thanks to all the teachings again, as I said. So the wonderful experience, learning experience was when we do all the rituals, and then when the body of my mom was kept on the funeral pyre, and we were doing all these rituals. The one thing that crossed my mind, again, Patriji's teachings came, how soul, there's nothing to grieve about the body, and the soul is eternal, right? So that kind of rang thing in my mind. And then only one thing that fleetingly came was what, as I sat there and saw my mom's mortal remains, one thing that crossed was that is the chocolate wrapper. The chocolate has vanished, right? So that is the wrapper. The chocolate has vanished. There's nothing to grieve over the chocolate wrapper. And then this chocolate, we all relished. The soul came in here, nourished each one of us, took care of our family. We all enjoyed. She enjoyed. And then all of us relished the sweetness of life till the time she was around. If the chocolate vanished, it's just a wrapper. What is the point of grieving? Why do you need to even think about grieving over the wrapper there? That is all. That was like a moment of transformation for me. And after that, nothing. It was all again equanimous. And similar thing happened a couple of years later when my dad passed away post COVID. So that was another point of learning where, thanks to strong foundation, strong meditation, I'm sure a lot of you have been having some of those learnings during the COVID time. And then fast forward a couple of years, obviously the COVID and pandemic time taught a lot of us a lot of things. And that was when Patriji was very vocal. He did a lot of sessions on no death. We were, in fact, during the second phase of COVID, thankfully, me and my family were very close to him, stayed with him in Pyramid Valley. And a lot of these sessions, we were listening to some of the uh, key masters, pyramid masters, who are strong, long-time meditators, been doing wonderful service, who vacated their body. And that was a term that I learned after being in PSSM, right? So you don't say pass away and then they vacated their body. Again, each one of it was a shocker for us, but thanks to the cushion that Patriji provided. And that was when he taught a lot of us about how death of the death of the body or death of the life on earth is just transitioning into a different uh, plane, right? And he kept on reiterating. I mean, so it's all like we come to a city to live for some time, and then when you try to leave from the city, you go to a better city, you go to a different place for better opportunities, and that is how we have to look at how a soul leaves for better pay. Either it has realized a body, just like the friend that I spoke about. She came, she was here probably for 32 to 33 years. She did her purpose, and then she taught each one of us and then left. And similarly, a lot of these folks were coming in and then transitioning on to the different worlds. That is how we'll have to look at it. Death is a transition, not a finite ending, right? And he always talks about how death is a celebration. That is why he says, I mean, every time we used to hear someone passing away, uh, he used to say, okay, it's time for celebration. Just we talk about it and then we all clap, which used to be a bit bizarre for people seeing from outside. But for all of us, it was like it was something that we all came to know why and what. And I happened to see this whole thing about how death is a celebration physically when Patriji passed away. Patriji vacated his body in July of 2022. We were there in Hyderabad, and his body was taken from the stage and onto the burial place, and it was all celebrations all over, right? There were crackers being built, all the music being sounded. I mean, in fact, a few of the guests who came in to attend the last rites of Patriji that day, they were commenting, right? If the same thing happened to the guru or key leader of another community or another mutt or another organization, things would have been totally different. Whereas here, I see it's a celebration. It's an event to be celebrated, right? So Patriji taught each one of us what life is, what do you need to do. And then when he vacated his body, we could see that all happening, how it was a celebration. So these are the four key points, my own experiences with how we deal with death, right? And I mean, set aside all the esoteric things about how the soul transitions into higher planes, what the rituals do, what all other things do. But ultimately, it's the wisdom that we earn from each of these experiences. To me, death has been a teacher. Death has been an experience of equanimity, and death also has taught us how there is life after death as we people move on to higher planes to realize our own purpose or realize a larger purpose. And then how death is also a celebration as we move on into our immortal journey. And then death is also a kind of, what to say, it gives us opportunities to relive things that we couldn't. I remember one of the things, Patriji during one of his interviews, and during one of his interviews to general public, one of the ladies came and asked Patriji, so I'm this time, Patriji, as a lady, I have this trouble, I have that trouble, I have to take care of this, I have to take care of that, and there are a lot of these issues. Why did I? Sometimes I think, why was I born as a woman, as a lady? Patriji immediately said, See, that is the decision you took when you came into this lifetime. If you don't want it, you change it, ma'am. Next lifetime, you be born as a man. You be born as a So that time it sounded right. I mean, this whole concept of reincarnation, whole concept of lifetime gives you the freedom to choose what you want to be, and that allows you not to regret what you have in life today. So whatever I have in life today is fine. If I want it sometime, okay, I'll probably have it next lifetime to do that. And I know that, right? So there are a lot of things that you didn't want to do. That's fine. There's always a lifetime. The next lifetime is when I need to. So that removes worry, that removes regret, that removes suffering. Another kind of thing that it removes, right? So you always have a choice to relive and change your life, provided you are conscious, you are aware. Otherwise, start going through the same sufferings. So death is a great leveler, as they say, and death teaches a lot of things to each one of us. And especially, I think a lot of us have been sharing experiences since the pandemic in this platform and several platforms. A lot of things that happen through the process of death, but what is important is what have we learned from the experience of death, from the knowledge or wisdom that death provides us to live a good life, to give a fulfilled life this lifetime. So that is what is important. Everything else is immaterial. All right. So with that, I want to spend a few minutes on this framework, which I really liked. Okay, so other thing was nowadays, I think as Ravi Kiranji said, I do a lot of retreats, and I started talking a lot about soul only after the pandemic. Coming from a corporate world, I always was kind of touchy to talk so much about soul. Though I believed internally, but I think I have this philosophy, I have this concept, something that only when I experience something, I teach. And it took a long time for me to teach. I mean, I know I started doing physical classes where I was in London, and then during the pandemic, I started doing a lot of sessions. But only when even Anapanasati meditation, I completely got convinced that this is how it works, this is how it helps. And I started experiencing the benefit. That's when I started talking about it. So similarly, a lot of topics I talk about was based on that. And only after the pandemic, I started talking about soul, talking about what soul teaches us, like this whole composition. In fact, after my first lunch retreat where I covered this class, I went and told Patriji, sir, because of all the teaching that you've been doing to us over the last few months, first time I had the courage to go talk about soul to the outside crowd, because that's when I started believing a lot. Okay? So, which was again, as they say, there is always a time for everything. So, you're able to see the slide, right? That's okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So this is a very in-depth topic. So, but I try to cover, will touch upon what it is. Again, this sets a framework more in terms of new psychology rather than the concepts of more being spiritual science. Very high level, very understandable framework. This set of content slides is from books by Richard Barrett. I think he's a gentleman in Europe. So he's written this book, What My Soul Told Me, and then also this book on the new psychology of human well-being. Right. So basically, he talks about three minds. We talk about body, mind, and soul. He talks about each of these. Body has its own functioning, which is called the body mind. And then he talks about mind, which we talk about more from ego and intellect. He calls it ego mind. And then there is something called the soul mind. He talks about each of these. Mind is the software. And as you know, body as a hardware and mind is a software. So the body mind relates to all the functioning of the body, like your breathing, your heartbeats. It takes care of that. Ego mind takes care of your thinking, your feelings, your emotions, right? What you speak and how you act, your behavior. And your soul mind is much deeper. It thinks about your purpose. It talks about your why you are here for, your values, your virtues. And the whole lifetime or psychology of well-being, to understand there are different stages where each of these get activated, and live with that, right? And he defines why ego. Generally, when we talk about ego, there is two streams of thoughts. One, we treat ego as something bad, right? Ego is a villain. ego is the cause for all our suffering. But no. So ego, you need an ego, you need a personal identity, you need a personality to live in this three-dimensional world, right? To do the touch, feel, enjoy the experiences, enjoy the pleasures, enjoy the pains, and enjoy the sufferings, which cannot happen without ego. So again, this is from the quantum world. So we appear to live in two worlds. One is particle-like and one is wave-like. And we all know there is something called the material plane, which we call as material dimension. And there is the energy dimension, right, which is the soul. So what he says is, so the reality of ego, body is all more of the material dimension where you see everything as matter, right? And then the moment we talk things about or look at things from a soul dimension, that is all the energy dimension. So same exists in both worlds. It depends on which level of consciousness we look at, right? And 3D reality is a form of illusion based on incomplete information. So you need in this 3D world, if your soul incarnate, we learned all that, that the soul incarnates for different purposes. There is the journey of the soul. But for a soul to live in this solid material reality, it needs a friend. It needs a friend that operates at 3D awareness, and that 3D object or 3D thing is what we call as ego, right? And our physical senses can only perceive a small band of frequencies of vibration, whereas a soul can perceive a lot more, which is why you have all these different kinds of soul experiences. All right, and then so there is the ego operates in a material reality, whereas the soul operates in energetic reality. We already spoke about it. Yeah. So quickly, fundamental properties of 3D ego awareness. Our mind believes in time, space, and matter. Right. So the time is in sense of there is limited time. That is why we grieve. That is why we think death is like the end of our lifetime. Right. Death is the end of our life. So there is finite time. That's what ego perceives. And there is a 3D space. I need to be here. I need to enjoy. I'm comfortable with these spaces. There is a dimension of space. And of course, there is the dimension of form of matter. Right. So because ego believes in time and space, our mind thinks about separation and isolation, right? So we fear separation, we fear isolation. We create the illusion of separate, that you are separate, I am separate, and then the illusion of time. And because there is matter, and obviously we know matter at some point decays, so we believe our body decays. The ego believes in death and decay. And then because there is matter, we believe there is also, it gives to the concept of form and mass, right? So we create the illusion of physical forms. Like Eckhart Tolle talks about how it is not about form, how we get entrapped in a lot of those illusions about form. So this is how we operate most of our lifetime, right? Before we kind of move into wisdom, post meditation, spiritual science, we think time is finite. Or I need to do a lot of things. We think there are dimensions of space, and we believe we are matter, and there are certain things I need to do because to enjoy certain things or experience certain things, and there are certain things I need to avoid because I don't like it. And moving on, 4D soul awareness is basically adding that energetic dimension, right? The soul, from looking at it from a soul perspective, the soul doesn't have the concept of time. Soul doesn't have the concept of space or presence at particular time. It's omnipresent. And then because soul is energy, it doesn't decay, right? We all know the laws of conservation of energy. It can only be transmuted, transformed, but not destroyed, right? So if you look at it, that is gives us the concept of the attributes of soul, which is oneness and connectedness, no separation, no isolation, right? And then it's about shifts and frequency of energetic vibrations. There's no awareness of space. So to give the illusion, the soul experiences shift. That's all the experiences of the energetic vibrations. We know how we feel. There is a sense of vibration when we feel very sad. There is a different vibration when we feel grateful. There is a different vibration when we feel loving, right? And then energy is omnipresent. There's no time. So it's always in the present moment, being present moment awareness. And that moments continue beyond, especially when there is no time. So no sense of time to the soul. So though the body decays, the soul lives eternal. That is the whole concept we talk about, how soul has no death, right? So I think, so ego experiences 3D experience of reality, and that is why ego believes in limitation. Ego believes in lack. And that is why a lot of us had that shocker when this whole waves of deaths were happening all around us during the pandemic, right? We thought, why does God need to do this to my so and so? Could be a friend, could be a relative, could be a parent, could be a sibling, right? And then the soul, looking at it from the point of ego, it's more about we look at things as limitation and lack, whereas looking at it from the experience of soul, it's about being, connection, energy, and anything is possible. That's what quantum science talks about now. And it's about abundance. There's a lot of things to give, and we've seen a lot of great masters do that. I personally seen Patriji doing that, a lot of love, handing out love to everybody, right? So that is, so we can easily relate to what we do, right? So ego is a field of conscious awareness that identifies the physical body. And because the ego identifies with the body, it believes it can die. That is the level of consciousness, that is the level of intelligence that we had earlier. And because it thinks it can die, the ego believes it has needs. And because it has needs, it develops fears about them not being able to get met. That is the whole reason for us developing fear. And there are certain sets of needs of the ego: survival, safety, security, right? And if you look at it, all these map onto Maslow's hierarchy of needs, as well as our chakras. I talked about that fascinating in that book. So we needed the ego to exist in this world, and the ego is associated with matter, decay, and then because the ego thinks it dies, it has a set of needs, and because the needs don't met, we generate fear. Whereas, and then the ego, we all wear different masks, like Eckhart Tolle talks about as well. Ego is not who you are, it is who you think you are. And then we've learned that ego represents your sense of identity in this 3D material reality. Whereas, what is a soul? Soul is an individuated aspect of the energy field from which everything in our physical world derives its being. So another set of words, it's another framework. I know a lot of you are more familiar with the yogic concept of Jivatma, Paramatma. So we are souls, and then and we also learned that we are souls living a physical existence, not the other way around, right? And then it's not that we have a soul, we are soul. And you don't have a soul, so you are a soul. So that is what we look at when we look at the soul. So where does this whole no death concept comes in? Why do we think soul is immortal? Like I said, soul is just a field of energy, and energy doesn't die, right? And because the soul identifies with your four-dimensional energy field and not with the body, it knows it cannot die. Even philosophy of Buddhism, which doesn't believe in soul, which doesn't believe in non-self, they have this concept of reincarnation, which initially puzzled me. How can they talk about reincarnation without the concept of soul? But then as we dig deeper, they even talk about how your thoughts, your feelings, your mind, your ego, and they will talk about ego, your thoughts, feelings, and consciousness. When the prana leaves your body, they still survive as some kind of energy in some form. And when it's ready to be incarnated, this whole samskaras or sangaras, what they talk about, that get gets entered into another life as it kind of sets its thing on earth. So the soul has to, because the soul says it cannot die and it acts from the field of abundance, it has no needs and hence no fears. And soul instantaneously creates whatever it needs through its thoughts. Amazing. I mean, I've seen a lot of things from my life, and a lot of us have seen that, right? When we start operating from the level of consciousness of soul, everything is possible. But our ego, because of its limited awareness, starts pulling things down. And we also know the concept of Jivatma, Paramatma, right? Soul has two aspects. At the level of the true self, we all share the same value. That is our universal soul, or all that is, whatever you call. But at the level of unique self, each of us have a set of skills, each of us have a set of gifts, each of us have a set of talents. Like Patriji and other masters said, we are here to use those talents, live those values, express those virtues. And when we do that, according to what our soul, that soul's imprint, that is when we say, okay, I lived a meaningful life. I lived a fulfilled life. I came here. I did what I wanted to do. In the sense, what my soul wanted to do. Right. So these are the two aspects of it. And of course, there is this universal aspect of love, compassion, gratitude, all those higher level of emotions that we all share. And the only thing standing in the way of the soul fulfilling its purpose and desire are the fears of the ego. That is what a lot of us have been before we came into this whole spiritual field, before we came to know a lot with this term meditation. We were in that three-dimensional world, programmed by our parents, programmed by culture. If you don't do XPG, if you don't study or get this particular degree, you will suffer. That's a life. So all these black and white things were the ones blocking. How do you let go of the fear? Either get those fulfilled and then move on, or you let go of it through meditation. You let go of all the kleshas, right? Buddhists call those as five defilements. Yoga Sutras talk about those five kleshas: desire, attachment, ignorance, fear, and ego. And so, as we know, ego minds, I think the book talks about how our ego mind develops in different stages. And it talks about the different parts of the brain. If you look at it, there are these three parts of the brain: the reptilian brain, which is the hindbrain. There is this subconscious or the limbic brain, which is the emotional brain, and there is the cognitive brain or the conscious brain. So each of those generate at different times. The reptilian brain is generally associated with the body mind. It takes care of the body functions. And the ego mind or the limbic brain takes care of the ego mind, which is our emotions and feelings, memory, and all that. And then our conscious brain more does things about soul mind. It learns how to keep secure. Again, a lot of things. And similarly, so there are three stages. There are three stages increasingly as we pass through our development. It's one of the popular adult development frameworks as well. And survival, safety, and security. And in each of it, there are certain security is more about safety, is more about longing, about building those relationships. Especially when you are young, have those wonderful relationships with family, with other friends. Then that longing of relationship gets satisfied, right? And then it moves on to security, is more about self-esteem, right? It's about individualization. It's about doing your own thing, right? That is when you start getting respect. So in the early stages of our life, it's all about fulfilling the needs of the ego. And then as our ego's needs get fulfilled, we start thinking about soul. That is, all of us have passed through this transition, right? After a while, we'll think, what is my life is for? What am I here for? Right? Prior to that, it's all about survival. Like, am I getting the degree? Am I getting the job? Am I getting that love? Getting the relationship? But once all those needs are met, we start thinking about soul. That is the gradual progression. A lot of us in ignorance try to jump without having that wonderful fulfilling relationships, without having that wonderful self-respect. People jump into the spiritual soul-seeking bandwagon, and they uh, try to realize, fulfill those needs of ego while they are on spiritual journey, which doesn't work out. Right? You can see a lot of evolved masters still faltering, doing things that are probably more ego-driven. Right? So similarly, the three stages of soul activation is about expressing our character, our gifts and talents, connecting with others in unconditional loving relationships, and serving the needs of others. So if we did not have those wonderful relationships that ego needed, it's very difficult for us to do this connection in unconditional loving relationships. If we did not have that self-esteem or respect or recognition in our ego world, it's very difficult for us to start contributing with unconditional love and respect, right? So the tenor of the book or this whole framework is ego is important. Satisfy the needs of our ego first, and then move on. Then that is when your soul is ready to get activated, right? So, my dear friends, it's a journey. All of us are in your quest to either from living from ego consciousness or from ego consciousness to soul consciousness. It's a journey and it's an experience that all of us have been going through. Like Patriji says, the whole life is about exploring, enjoying, seeking out those experiences, and then learning from each of those experiences as we keep moving on, right? And So till some part of the life we experience more experiences that the ego gives us through our five senses without getting attached to it, and then we move on to have a lot of the soul experiences, right? If you look at it, there are these attributes of soul, like we discussed. Soul is wisdom. Soul enjoys the journey, whereas ego enjoys the price. Ego looks at outcome, whereas soul is always focused on energy. Like all our spiritual texts talk about, it's about the journey. It's not about the end outcome, right? And ego seeks to be filled, whereas soul is all connecting. Soul is all about wholeness. The more I share my wisdom, more I share things with a lot of people, my soul gets fulfilled. Right? And we all know how our meditation, our Anapanasati meditation teaches those two key skills, about being aware that we have an ego and these are the things that the ego needs, and this is what I'm acting out of ego. And as we accept those learnings, accept those pains of life, we start learning the soul consciousness through acceptance, right? And the end, I think, wonderful book on by Clarity, again by a UK author, something that I read when I was there. He talks about how we are all born with these factory settings, the settings of our soul. Just like a car has an inbuilt factory settings, we come into this world with these factory settings. Clarity, spontaneity, intelligence, creativity, compassion, all that is in there. We all know. But only thing is, we are born with the soul, with the ego, with the mind, right? We are here for that reason. But at some point, we realize that is a self-realization. We realize we are not the body, we are not the mind, we are this infinite intelligence, we are the abundance, we are the creative potential. We start breaking beyond it. And that is what the liberation is all about, right? We liberate from the bondage or we are the bindings of ego and move beyond that to express ourselves in our lifetime, right? And that's our true self. We talk about soul, consciousness, higher self, higher mind, divinity, whatever we can talk about. So the key thing, the key point I wanted to drive here is the soul lives on. Again, I don't want to give that whole thing about karma and it's not like you are born here as a punishment, right? In fact, that is one of the things we used to think when our friend Shanti got diagnosed with cancer and she had a few months left. We used to think about that was an indoctrination we had, right? Oh, karma, it's all a karma, it's all punishment, right? I couldn't believe that karma is so what to say deterministic, right? It's more so fatal. It's your karma, you suffer. Whereas you don't suffer, it's not your karma. I mean, I can't believe that that is what is the driving factor. But I would like to look at the whole thing as a learning experience. Everything teaches, like Patriji says, and a lot of wisdom says, anything that causes you discomfort is a learning for you. And the soul always gets you at the right time, at the right place if you are aware. It's all about me recognizing that with heightened awareness, which is what meditation helps us be. And more importantly, each of us have talents, each of us have virtues, each of us values, right? When we start living our own skills, when we start living our own virtues, when we start living our own talents, our strengths, not someone else's virtues, someone else's indoctrinated program thing, then we start living the soul of life. When we start living the life that our soul needs, none of us will worry about death. Death doesn't bother you. Just like, for example, you go to a party and there is a sweet dish, right? And then you partake that sweet dish. So, and then let us say, as you're having the sweet dish, you're still not fulfilled. You still want to probably have one more. And the host of the party removes the dish. What happens? You feel a sense of like, oh my God, she's removed the dish. I wanted to have more, right? But if you feel fulfilled, if you had the dish to your full liking, fullness, and then the host of the party says, I'm moving the dish, you will not feel anything, right? You'll feel I'm fine. Well, you can take away the dish, I had my fill. So very similarly, the moment we start living the gifts of our lifetime, gifts of our soul, we wouldn't be scared about death. Not just our death, anybody's death. We wouldn't be scared about why, as we know, the soul also gives us a lot of possibilities of what the next lifetime could be, what you want to do. If I'm not able to do this, there's always this next lifetime. There's always this thing happening. But more important point is living the full capabilities, living the full talents, living our factory settings is a lot more important for us rather than any intellectual understanding of where the soul goes, what happens to the soul after. All right. So with that, my dear friends, I hope I know it was probably a bit of more of content trying to breeze through in the last 20 minutes, but I hope it gives you a different perspective of what ego, what body and soul. Body is good, ego is good, soul is good. It's a question of us being aware and accepting things, acknowledging things as we go along. And I believe all of us being meditators, we all are in that plane of being mindful and being aware. Thank you very much, PSSM UK and Ravikiran Garu and GK sir and everyone for giving this opportunity and platform for me to share what I know and what I've experienced. Now, if any of you have time, I know I left only 2 minutes.
No,
So if any of you have time,
we have
any
we
questions?
have time, Sagar. We have time. So yeah, I mean, if you want to share some more, please do. I know I have kind of given the timing, okay, 10 minutes and then 40 minutes and then the Q&A, but it can go till 10:30 also. But yeah, please do share. It's an amazing template that you have given. So if there is anything, if you want to share, please do continue. I just wanted to say that.
Yes, that's what I think. Those books are fascinating. This framework allowed me to talk about soul a lot more freely than anything else, right? Rather than the whole metaphysical and other elements of the soul. And it also tells you how you can discover your soul, right? How you can discover why you came here for. What are your strengths? What are your skills? What are your talents? And we'll all be at some point of time we can be able to practice again. The book Mind to Matter also talks about a lot of case studies where even the author discovered his passion for painting, passion for art much later, though he had that feeling or urge in us, right? So the call of no death should all be a call for each one of us to be discovering your talents and trying to live our talents, right? And that leads us to be living a fulfilled life. And yeah, I think it talks about more of the development frameworks and things like that. So it's been amazing. And then one thing is, yeah, that is what once you start living from the level of soul consciousness, we know things can happen. Things automatically happen, right? I think there is a wonderful quote by Rumi. I keep putting that in my presentations. And he says, uh, "When I chase things, when I go behind things, thinking that that is what I want, right? It is a time of heat and fire. Life is like a furnace. But when I sit and allow life to flow through, right? Things start happening magically, which I didn't think my soul will get fulfilled by that. Because I was chasing something that my ego needs, my mind said I wanted. It was more about, uh, that is when I suffered a lot. But when I was resting in peace in my present moment awareness, and allowed life to bring me all the things, it was a life of magic. It was a life of wonder, right? So that's what we all have as we move on to this whole thing. And Richard, what is it? I think uh, Denning. So there's another book called Power versus Force. Some of you might have heard about it. There's a person who's wrote about forgot the other about the map of consciousness. So very similar, right? So he talks about lower levels of consciousness is ego-driven, and the higher levels of consciousness soul-driven. And most of the time, we try to achieve things with our thinking, our mind, and our ego. So, which is where you apply a lot of force, you need to apply a lot of effort to make things happen, right? But when you do relax, we allow your mind to operate at an intellect level and allow your soul to take over with higher levels of consciousness, which is love, trust, confidence, right, gratitude. So all those things, then things start happening. You start exercising your power. Things start happening much more efficiently, much more faster. And it'll happen in ways that you couldn't even imagine, right? That's what we talk about synchronicities and meaningful coincidences. Again, a lot of us have a lot of cases to talk about. I keep talking about most of those in several other sessions, right? So it's about whether using the inherent power to make things happen effortlessly, or we struggle and do all the things that our mind tells us, the culture tells us, the society tells us, and go through the struggles to achieve a certain thing. You can achieve things either way, right? From a ego consciousness through force, or through your soul consciousness through the power that you have. You attract things like the soul. Start attracting a lot of things. You don't need to do much. Just sit there, blank your mind, express the desire. Things will happen. Things happen. That's fine. Trust me, things happen. If it doesn't happen, that's also fine. That's where the calamity comes, right? So I think, yeah, I'll keep on going, but I think I will pause for questions.
Thank you, Sagarji. Wonderful, wonderful framework that you have given to all of us. And concluding with, the wonderful thing that when we start living our own unique gifts and virtues, not comparing with others, then we wouldn't be scared about anything, death or anything. So amazing conclusion. And closely spending time with Patriji, when you are in Valley as a managing trustee, I see, like, I can imagine how much wisdom you have taken from Patri sir, and very nicely explained. I mean, this is a new concept about three minds: body mind, ego mind, and soul mind. Amazing. And a lot of information has been shared about how ego and the soul, they differ in certain things, and the time that ego perceives the time and space and the matter, and where soul doesn't have all this, and it is energy, and the different energy, different vibrations are different feelings. So very good information you have shared, friends. Anybody has any questions or anything to share, please do. Yes, go on, unmute yourself, Srilakshmi.
Namaste, Sagar sir.
Namaste, madam.
Very happy to connect with you and see you after a long time. And thank you so much for all the work you have done for PSSM UK. And regarding today's topic, really, really wonderful concept about this framework of the soul. And thank you so much for sharing your life experiences. And also my takeaways are like, so that some souls come into our lives to awaken, to, as you said, to awaken other souls. And also your mother's experience. From your mother's experience, you have learned the life lesson that there is nothing to grieve about the body, because soul is eternal. And you beautifully explained about this body, mind, ego mind, and soul mind. So many concepts you have shared. Really, really wonderful wisdom sharing, Sagar. So thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, ma'am. Nice to hear your voice again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think Swapna has raised the. Yes, Swapna.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, sir. Good evening. How are you?
Oh, wonderful. Nice seeing you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. You remember me?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. I think couple of topics, whatever you have covered, I think I already, learned and listened to you when I was there in a retreat in Pyramid Valley. And definitely, I still remember that moment when Patriji has decided to leave his body, and how you guys have maintained that moment. And till the end, I think you didn't even disclose that news that he's no more. And we all were, at the same time, we were very heavy because many of us came with a dream to meet him there. But we got on a different news altogether. But you guys made us to be stable and be a participate in the journey of, or the transition journey. And it was a death as a celebration. I think the first that takeaway was for me, and it was really a very eye-opener for me, that also can be celebrated in a different way. So I'm so glad to see you. And now I'm in UK. I think I told you when I was there that things were happening that time. So
Right.
thank you so much for the sharing. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Wonderful, ma'am. Nice to hear you and see you and see your smile and listen to your
Yes.
words. So I know, yeah, we were all in that stillness that it was happening around the time Patriji's celebrations were
Yes.
happening. Yes, I understand.
Correct. We
Good.
saw that, and we all were together to witness that the journey of his to a new journey of him. And I think next day we did do a meditation in a tapasthali. I think most of our experience that his blessing from the top of the pyramid. I think many of us, we did share that experience as well. That see, he's always around us, and his blessing from wherever he is.
Correct. Wonderful. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Swapnaji, for sharing. Yes, GK sir.
Yeah, thank you very much,
Namaskaram,
Sagar
sir.
sir. Really, I feel so happy you're sharing. It's a rare opportunity for me to listen to your workshops and then content. The moment I saw your name, immediately I joined the session. And in the overall session, the thought that you said, one has to adopt the feeling of I am the soul. It's not that I have the soul. So if one can adopt it while living, then I think happily they will feel that it is only a simple journey from one dimension to another dimension. So that is the real crux of the whole presentation, I understood. And the initial part of the death-related information you shared, still I remember when we are all in USA, I was contacted at the time what best we can be done. And yeah, even I am also in the early stages of my spiritual tablets journey that I can remember still. And the days during the Pyramid Valley with Patriji is really phenomenal. Even that period, I attended a lot of online sessions as well as even I have shared in that platform. Really, I can say you guys are really blessed to be with him. And the whole year, I think he had a lot of encounter on spirituality, and then really it's a great opportunity. And even though your trip to UK is very short, but I can say it is very sweet, during which we have registered the Pyramid Meditation Foundation, and then the real foundation was laid during your stay over here. And phenomenal work you're all doing at the Pyramid Valley, as well as you have your own role in software field. If you want, you can go. Initially, we used to feel that we are sacrificing, but today under PSSM, playing a great role like vice president in Cognizant, such a brilliant roles even though you played. So today, to develop the spiritual software to give to the whole world, really you're all guys making the great steps, and I hope and I wish that all these steps will come forward with the great fruits, and all the spiritual people should utilize it. Thank you very much, sir. With a fresh face, you came at the time around 2:30. Yeah.
Wonderful, sir. Thank you. Thanks for your presence, your words, and your wishes. We all need it. You are the person who all got us into this platform, into this whole meditation, spiritual science. Yes, I think our time in Pyramid Valley during the time with Patriji, and again, it all happened so wonderfully well, right? I mean, exactly that was the time I quit Cognizant. I wanted to take a break and work at Pyramid Valley, and then COVID came. I still keep thanking my stars, my soul, Patriji, everyone. Like March 20th, or I think 15th or 20th, I quit and then sat at home. And then towards the end of March is when all this lockdown thing started happening in India, right? And then I could easily see if I was working during that whole pandemic time, it was like a day of calls, day of meetings. It wouldn't have allowed me to spend time on my spiritual growth with Patriji in Valley, right? So it all happened so magically. And then again, the reason I could take a break was also my 2 years tenure in London, right? And then I keep talking about, I happened to get onto a program very magically, which allowed me to which allowed me a lot more financial remuneration, which allowed me to build a corpus that allowed me to kind of stay without a full-time pay for the last few years, right? And none of it was uh, designed or saying that I need to do that, I need to do that. It all so happened. And I've always been grateful for everyone, and including masters like you, who got each one of us through each one of others into this whole path. And I know you've been guiding and doing a lot of work in UK with the rest of the team. So thank you very much, GK sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you, JK sir. So Sagar sir is like born with a purpose. So he shared his experience that, just exactly before starting the pandemic, he got that financial, this thing, voluntary retirement kind of thing. And then he just happened to spend time with Patriji, and you've done a lot of work during the pandemic, introduced some working from Pyramid Valley, things like that, introduced a lot of initiatives. So amazing. And when GK sir came in 2018, he arranged a session in Harrow, and you see the great masters like Kula Ratnam and everything is because of that session we see the core masters in the UK now. So
Wonderful.
amazing. Yeah, so they are I mean the seeds that you have sown, like they are like taking the sessions here, and they are conducting the workshops. So amazing work you have done. And there is one request, Sagar sir. So that you had initially you said that you had one profound experience with Patriji, and Master Sharda, she is getting that message that you should share something, that experience that you had with Patriji.
Experience I had with Patriji.
Yeah, that something initially you mentioned that you had an experience with Patriji.
Yeah, so nothing metaphysical. I mean, I keep complaining to Patri. Used to keep complaining to Patriji. I don't travel to different worlds. I don't see all the lights. I don't see all the tunnel experiences that other people keep saying. Patriji always used to keep saying that you don't need to do that, right? You don't need to observe. You don't need those experiences, right? So one thing I'd want to share is every time I go to Patriji with a question, right? So every time he says it's more about you exploring, you answering a question, right? He, in fact, one experience I always keep sharing. I mean, Ravikaran Garu, I've probably told you. Initially, when we are forming this Pyramid Meditation Foundation UK, right? So that is when I explored, I researched into multiple methods, right? You can create, I think there are different forms of forming that company or foundation. So I explored this 2 or 3 things, and I remember Patriji was in the US, and I called him and said, what is the best way? I thought, because I was confused in 2 or 3 ways, though I knew one of the ways, the way we founded the foundation or formed the foundation, incorporated the foundation was right. Then I called Patriji. I said, "Oh, I'll talk to sir, and then he'll tell me the answer, and I'll be free of all this confusion." Right. So I call, and then we keep talking, and he said, and I thought he'll give me a definite answer. Right. And then he said, what to say, Swamiji, you know what is right. You do what do you feel, what do you think is right. That is all. I was kind of, after that, I went to Bindu and I said, what is this? I thought I'll expect an answer from him and I'll proceed happily along the slides. And he said, you take a call, right? And then obviously, I mean, ultimately the choice was so obvious. Maybe the choice was so obvious, and then we took it that way. So that was one of the profound turning points for me, right? And he says, you think, when you're thinking that level of awareness, you believe in yourself, right? And then when we were in Pyramid Valley, also quite a bit of experiences, whether it be with some profound questions around soul, around mind, or it could be something related to Pyramid Valley, conducting Buddha Purnima events and all that. When I go to the pagoda with a question, right, and he knows, and I keep telling that most of my steps of evolution, or moments of evolution, have been through books. I've been through. So you see, I think half of the books that you see behind me were accumulated and read in the last 4 years, since the time I took a break and in pandemic, right? So every time he knows that my this thing is not through those extra metaphysical experiences, it's more through books and an experience. So a lot of times it's so wonderful. I go to him with a question, and he would be reading, I think, Thinking, as he was reading Thinking and Destiny at that time, or some other this thing. So I go in and immediately gives me a book and say, Sagar, read from page 30. Right, and then you open that and start reading it. Magically, 2 things happen: something that corroborates or that confirms something that I had a doubt on, right? Or it will answer a question that I came there for. It used to be so magical every time, or sometimes it could be Spiritual India, it could be any of those magazines. So that, I think, is my more very relatable experience with Patriji. Even now, and even earlier, whenever I have a question, it comes in the form of someone telling something, or it will come in the form of a newsletter, some email, which will point to a book, and then you'll get the clarity around it. So my profound experience with Patriji has been that, right? It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward, and sometimes I feel bad that he never answers my question straight, right? But then somehow he gives me the answer in some form. He knows probably, even if I tell, this guy will not believe, he will go and explore. So why let me point him to some source so that he kind of believes it right away. So my experience with Patriji has been always that it's more through the wisdom channel. And I used to be fascinated how he said, anyone who goes to him with a problem, he says, sit, meditate, watch your breath, observe your breath, right? And I used to be thinking, how does it all work? How does Anapanasati work? And that is when I was in UK, I happened to get that magnificent book, Mind Illuminated. It is an absolute manual on Anapanasati meditation. It talks about why and how and what works, how mindfulness works, how this whole journey works. And in fact, when he came to UK, I showed him the book, and I think he took excerpts from that for one of the Spiritual India things. So yeah, so I think the answers that come from him, it is more not from him but through him, which was absolutely fine. And then to me, Patriji was more I learned a lot from him just by seeing him, not from listening to what he said, but observing him, seeing him, and again, so like GK said, that we're all blessed to be having spent time with him, with all his knowledge and wisdom. I think besides this, no other colorful experiences.
No, this itself is a amazing experience. So we have so much of resources in the form of so much of wisdom in the form of books, right? So as he correctly guided you to refer to the magazines, books, and is giving the answers. So thank you for sharing. That's a profound response, I guess. Thank you. Yes, JK sir, you want to say something?
Yeah. So, Sagar sir, I would like to know from your own words, like, we are all very happy with Patri sir's, the way he took over the whole movement ever since he started 30 years ago as a single man. And I feel the whole movement has not prepared for his demise. And though I have listened to some of the master's experiences, he is going to vacate the body and then his time is completed, whatever the best he want to give. He has given such kind of experiences here and then, even though I listened. And I can say, definitely this is a shock for the whole movement from the material perspective. So being with him during those, I can say, the last days of the physical body. So how did you felt? How did you take the whole process of Patriji, his era, and then maybe this is a kind of if you ask the same question, I don't know what I will answer, but I would like to listen from you. Yeah.
Yeah, so good question, sir. See, for a lot of us felt, having been there, I think the last a few days, especially I can relate to what was happening in Pyramid Valley, right? So till June 5th, he was in Pyramid Valley. So one side, it was more a bit of anger, right? For me personally, right? I mean, there is so much of progress in the medical field that has happened. Why can't he take some whatever treatment or whatever it is for his physical body, and so that he can live longer, to spread the wisdom for a lot more of people, a lot more thing, right? So that was one side. It was more about that anger. Why he's so this thing, right? It's like I mean, I would have done the same thing if my dad or someone close to me did the same thing, right? So why are you resisting to do that, right? But then the other profound learning, and again, this again used to keep teaching us during those times, right? So in terms of, yeah, so it's again, you live by your values, you live by your virtues. And then again, the fact that he always keeps saying that death is not the end of it, right? So that was more the profound teaching. So I felt a sense of anger, sense of helplessness. What can we do? That we used to get a lot of people. In fact, Dr. Newton also came during that time. I know he probably came during that time. So basically, if you can convince, you can tell, right? And then Madam Pari, everyone used to come and they talk about it. But then ultimately, we left it to his judgment, right? His choice, and which is where after all that happened, then I learned saying that, I mean, like Patriji says, the equanimity. And I remember one of the meetings, he says, we were all so hung up and attached about Pyramid Valley. How do we run it? What will happen? What will not happen? One of the meetings, Patriji said, to me, he was talking about equanimity. To me, if this pyramid vanishes, I don't mind, right? This whole valley vanishes, I don't mind. So that itself tells that strength. I mean, you don't get attached to anything, right? You don't get attached to whether he lives or whether he dies or whatever it is. So that is a big teaching that I felt, right? And then we all get attached. I mean, I now I'm being a managing trustee or a trustee. We need to do this, we need to do that. Something doesn't happen, people will think something about me. So all that vanishes, right? So one is, yeah, from a ego mind perspective, it was that thing. Why can't he take the treatment? Why can't he do this? Why is he so adamant and all that? But from a soul perspective, it's more about his teachings. To me, he felt he lived his teaching, and then in the same sense, he knew that okay, the movement will run on its own, right? If it runs or dies, it is not my concern. I did all the work that I need to do. It's up to the masters I've created, how they evolve, how they follow the teachings. If they are living my teachings truthfully, then the movement will spread, everything will spread fine. If they don't, then it's again up to their thing, right? So that is where, and I still believe his teachings, like Buddha, right? So we all revere Buddha for his teachings. It's not about just his lifetime. Similarly, Patri Sir's teachings, Patri Sir simplified. In fact, one of the recent experiences, sir, I just came off a Vipassana retreat last week. In Hyderabad, I attended 10 days of Vipassana. Having going through the process, I was thinking of whenever the mentions of Buddha came, I kept on remembering only Patriji. Whatever was told about Buddha, Patriji was acting that way. And I used to think, but obviously the technique is a bit different, it's a bit complex, but still I believe Patriji, the way he found or he brought Anapanasati, I know you're probably a lot more familiar with all these initial days. So the way he brought it was so simple, right? And all of us could follow from anywhere, was so profound, right? I mean, how did he manage to find the simplicity of this thing that only that technique will be enough to give us all the benefits that every meditation technique talks about, right? I was in awe. How did Patriji find out? In fact, I want to ask all the people who used to be with him initially, right? How did he really find out that Anapanasati is good enough, right, for everything? So yeah, I think it's again about the teachings. So we just need to live by his teachings, and it's a question of us living through that. So that is my vision, and that is my view, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Very nicely, it's relates to the session you shared that, living the virtues, then there is no fear. Like, he had that virtue that no doctor, no medicine, whatever it happens, whatever it takes, I will live by my virtues. So it was amazing teaching. He's like led by example. Thank you. Yeah. Yes, Monica ji, please unmute yourself.
Thank you, sir, for a wonderful session. I never met Patriji, but today during whole session, my eyes were closed because I was experiencing the words coming from Patriji, and I was feeling that energy. And before the session, coincidentally, mostly I won't, Google something. I Google this code of Patriji. I don't know how it came. Experiments are forever. Experiences are forever. Expressions must be forever. Enlightenment is forever. Evolution is forever. Enjoyment is forever. This is PSSM philosophy.
Wonderful.
And you explained the same exactly during the session. And I was like, oh my God, that's why, this thought came in my mind. I never Googled it. I Googled it today. And before the session, I saw Mahavtar Babaji, all archangels. I'm connected with all these energies. And I saw pyramids. And I was like, why I'm seeing so much pyramids? And look, because it is from Pyramid Valley. So that's why I was seeing those energies even before coming to this session. And whatever you were saying, sir, yesterday these all masters saw me the way I was, out of control. Uh, uh, it was an immediate healing. And today they are seeing me. A completely different person. Like maybe they were like how a normal person can behave in a certain way. I personally know when we have this wisdom, when I know I'm just a soul, I'm here for a purpose. I'm not here just to enjoy my life, having kids, having a job, and whatever you mentioned. It makes perfect sense to me because I connect my soul on that level. And when you were telling me, and I was like, thank you, Patriji. Before the session, you showed me that. Now I'm getting the all explanation step by step. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, so I think power of synchronicity is so wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica ji, for sharing your experience. There is a question, Sri Lakshmi ji, I will come back to, you can talk in a moment. So thank you so much, Sagar Master. My question is that for beginners in meditation, which is the good book to start with and how to progress in our meditation journey? Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so our own PSSM book called The Art and Science of Meditation by Dr. Newton. So that explains a lot of, if you are really meditators struggling with a lot of those experiences and all that is one. And there's another book that I always recommend in terms of Anapanasati. The book is called Breath by Breath. And it gradually progresses you to different steps in meditation. So these are all, and then a lot of books published by PSSM also, right? There is a small book that talks about meditation is very, very easy and all that, right? So publicly available, popularly available, Breath by Breath. You can search on Amazon or Art and Science of Meditation or any of the PSSM books on meditation.
Hope that answered, Netraji. Yeah, go for it, Sri Lakshmi. If you want to talk, please unmute.
Just the same thing I want to share before just starting up the meditation. Just 1 or 2 minutes before, suddenly the video popped up in my laptop. I saw this video from Pyramid Valley International that during the last 40 days meditation session happening. So I saw Patriji and the Ganesh sir was singing, and I saw Sagar sir and Pyramid Valley just before the session. I felt so happy. Just I want to share this moment. Just 1 minute before this, I saw it. Yeah.
Wonderful. Good. So I don't need to do anything. Universe is doing all the work for me. That's all.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. So there was Daksha ji, right? You wanted to talk?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes. I'm aware of the time. Is it okay for me to share?
No, it is okay. It is, yeah, I mean, Sagar sir, okay, right?
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Sagar sir. I think we met on your sessions on Breath to Breath. I'm relatively new to this platform, and it is so nice to hear about Patriji and the remarkable character he must have been, to live with his passion, his purpose. Nothing came in the way, and he just went to what his soul purpose was and what he felt was right for him, and how he naturally served and helped. And as you said earlier, the soul has that purpose. We are here for a reason. And I absolutely, I'm exposed to spirituality and the consciousness of soul and its journey and reincarnation. And so death and all that kind of feels comfortable. I've accepted that quite naturally over the years. But what I'm learning here, and I'm kind of a 6-month baby, PSSM baby, so I'm still discovering, learning a lot, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it because, even though Patriji hasn't been a part of my life, I can see that the support I'm getting in so many different ways. So it's really, really lovely to hear the stories from the UK platform and being on this program. And I particularly, just to sort of keep it to the essence of what I took today, I really like the contrast of the egos, the 3D and the 4D that you explained. It's so easy to grasp and so easy to theoretically, it's quite easy to process, but obviously practice. And what I take away is everything that happens. I really like that, is whenever I'm feeling uncomfortable about something, it's because I need to turn a leaf. I need to make that shift in some sort of way. So I really, really enjoyed that.
Absolutely.
And I really also want to, I think last time I took this, the course Breath by Breath, which you had And I was, I think, early hours of the morning, but something pulled me towards it. And I didn't actually get a chance to acknowledge and thank you for those 11 days that I took. And I really can't say how much benefit I got from that. The valuable, it's like there were some imprints that your wisdom left on my soul. And I felt that I wanted to meditate, and nothing else. But of course, I have to live my reality and learn my lessons and move on. But I felt something that you mentioned today was, in that silence, the depth of that silence, it's like the post-meditation effects are so magical. You can't explain. I mean, so many things that are happening. I'm exposed to this, as I said, about 6 months. But as I'm learning to meditate properly, and there's no proper, as you said, there's no right, wrong, allow, throw. And I had some amazing experiences in my early days where I had visions of Patriji, I had visions of Rumi, interesting, fascinating masters, but nothing's happening. And it's okay. I'm not judging. I'm just holding that space to whatever's to be. But what I took and what you emphasized today is like, there is, in that silence, so much grows, so much happens. And in reality, when I'm living my life, I can see that it's given me a chance to look at my ego self. It's sort of, before I didn't even have that space, even though I was a meditator for many years. Now it's a different kind of space, and it's just fascinating. So I really, really want to acknowledge how much I took from that breath by breath, and you've inspired me to meditate more and more, and let's see what happens. So thank you for today, and thank you for everything, and thank you to this platform.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Really appreciate your sharing. Very awesome. I know you've probably been part of Breath by Breath earlier and taken the essence of what I spoke or wanted to communicate today. Yes, absolutely. Meditation gets us into that space where you start seeing your body and mind from a different perspective, right? I mean, that is the awareness part of it. And then all magic starts happening when we are at that space where you are more the seer rather than, that's why we are all seers, right? We are more the seer than the experiencer. So really wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Sagar sir, so many of them are like new here, even though there are like about 40-50 people joining the sessions. Many of them are new, and some of them, they have started with this session itself, Enlightenment on No Death.
Okay.
And then they are like so sincerely, so seriously sitting here, taking the notes, and they have a lot of commitment. And some of them, they were coming from your sessions from on the Buddha CEO platform or somewhere, and they are really enjoying. And today's session is definitely gives a proper, you sharing the PPTs and giving that, it really made a lot of impact, I would believe. So talking and about the afterlife and everything, and now you are kind of putting the framework in PPTs, it definitely gave some kind of perspective to all of us. Thank you. And
Thank you.
Vindhyaji, you want to talk? Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Sagarji, for a beautiful session. I know it's late for you, but you still look bright. I've been to Pyramid Valley and met you. I think it's the magic of that place that is giving you that energy. It's so nice to offer all these sessions every day. I've been attending, and I missed a few, but just the other day, it's also connecting. I attended Pradeep Vijayji's session yesterday, and he was talking about qualities of soul. And when you talked about ego, mind, and soul, he was also explaining infinite energy as soul, and it being pure consciousness and the curiosity of daring and adventurous. And he was saying, if you feel dull or you feel dissatisfied, it's because you're not trying out new things. And I think you also mentioned something like that coming out on. So it looks like a message for me to recognize how to connect with the soul rather than the ego or the body. So thank you for all the messages. I'm looking forward for coming to Pyramid Valley again, meeting you and spending more time there. Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing, ma'am. Yes, looking forward to meeting you here in Pyramid Valley. So let me know when you are here. We'll catch up. Thank you.
Thank you, friends. I think it's already what is it, 3:10 for Sagar sir?
Yes.
Thank you,
3:07.
Sagar sir. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your wonderful, time and wonderful wisdom here. We learned a lot. Sharada ji, you want to say? I forgot to mention Sagar sir. So Sharada ji, she got the message from Patri ji that we should do this 40 days, and then she felt that intuitively that you should take the session. That's when I approached you. She told me that
Wow.
okay, Sagar sir supposed to take one of the day on this enlightenment on no death. Can you reach out to him? Then that's when I reached out to you. So thank you. Yes.
Oh, wonderful.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming. And I know the wisdom is so much clear. So emphasizing more on soul rather than body. So just before the session, I was thinking of something else here at home, like about my personal. So it's a message from sir. Don't keep too much of mind. Everything will go smoothly. And I don't know that you are going to explain about the mind. And it's like, so it's like everyone, we are in a same boat, same cruise. So thank you so much for in detail explaining. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank
Wonderful.
you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for being the initiator of this platform. Really wonderful. And yeah, so everything, all of us are resonating at the same level of vibration. So everything is happening synchronistically. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sagar sir, when I asked you that question, I have the answer with me. Sarada madam, like masters, there are so many masters across the globe. Patriji has already selected, and through them he is speaking as and when he wants. For any kind of message or program or a project, okay? So through them we are getting wonderful messages, and then yes, everybody is back to work, and then wonderfully we are all working. So he is there in every heart, So everyone can listen to him. So that itself is a great achievement, I can say. The heights he reached.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Like I mean, you masters, like you already know that. So he's probably doing a lot more work from that different dimension than from the material dimension, reaching out through the mental plane of so many people, getting things done. But I keep hearing stories, even Chandu and others in Pyramid Valley. Patriji comes in their dream and tells them to do this, do that, right? So now he's working with tons of people across space, like we saw, right? Omnipresent, timeless, all that. So he's doing a lot more work now. So maybe that is the reason he ascended. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, everyone. And I think we need some online retreats from you in the future. So when you're free, I think we may need that 7-day, a 1-week retreat or something like that online, maybe exclusively for UK with the UK time. So that will be so nice.
So we'll do a breath by breath, sir. First, breath by breath in UK time.
Yes, we will do it. Thank you so much. And thank you everybody for patiently sitting here. And thank you, Sagar Garu, for patiently explaining everything.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, dear masters. Thank you, Arkan Garu, GK Garu, and all the masters for giving me this opportunity. Really wonderful sharing my experiences on this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thank you.